There's a real race for Colorado's safest Democratic seat in Congress. Representative Diana DeGette, in office for 29 years, is fighting off a challenge from Democratic Socialist Melat Kiros, a 29-year-old former corporate attorney who lost her job for writing an essay critical of Israel. DeGette has declined to come on this program and answer our questions about her views and her record. Tonight's next conversation is with Melat Kiros. We began with her case to replace DeGette and her views as a Democratic Socialist. Congresswoman Diana DeGette has represented Denver in Congress for about 30 years. Why should voters fire her and hire you? Because
the Congresswoman, I think, has really failed to meaningfully push the kind of progressive legislation that would make a meaningful difference for working families in this country. She, I believe, has failed to do so because she's taken millions of dollars from big pharma, big energy and oil, defense contractors.
What evidence do you have that she's changed a belief or refused to take a stand because of cash that she's received?
What I identify in her voting record and its relationship with some of the companies that support her is a direct relationship with either advancing their agenda or doing nothing to advance the agenda of working people. So for example, she takes a lot of money from big pharmaceutical companies, from big health insurance companies, and the crowning achievement that she constantly touts is the Cures Act, a piece of legislation that frankly was just a big giveaway for a lot of big pharmaceutical companies. And Senator Warren and Senator Sanders both said this as this bill was getting debated. And again, she takes all this money from these big pharmaceutical companies that were benefiting from this specific piece of legislation.
Best I can tell, Colorado has never elected a self-described socialist to Congress. What do you say to Democratic primary voters who are not socialists, who are capitalists, and are deciding who to vote for in this race?
Yeah. Well, first I'll tell them that we already have socialism, right? It's in the roads that we drive on, it's in our fire stations, it's in the public schools we send our kids to. What I'm calling for is the same security that we have in those institutions to be in our healthcare, to be in our access to nutritional food, to be in making sure that we have universal child care and universal elder care. We're embarking on a new era right now where AI is going to change the entirety of our labor economy as we know it, and we're not ready. We're not ready for what it looks like when all these jobs potentially get taken away and wiped out by machinery. And if that happens, we need to make sure that people's basic needs are protected, and that's only through programs that would be socialist.
You were 1 year out of law school at an elite global law firm, is how they describe themselves, before you got fired for writing an essay that was critical of Israel. You came home to enroll in a PhD program. You've been working at a coffee shop. What life experiences and knowledge do you have to be effective in Congress?
Yeah. Well, the first I would describe as the life experience of just being a young renter in this city, being a tipped minimum wage worker, and Denver is the 5th least affordable city in the country right now. And so experiencing what it's like to stretch your paycheck and try to pay for rent, try to pay for health insurance, try to pay for your car note, all of those things, the proximity to that struggle, I think is something that's important to have when you're going to Congress to represent the people of the city.
When you talk about knowing financial struggle,
yeah.
I mean, you're knowing financial struggle by choice.
Yeah.
You are a corporate attorney who's going to get a PhD.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that you're having trouble making ends meet when you step out of that world, but you kind of chose to step out of that world.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. But I did grow up with the same struggle, right? I immigrated here in '98 when I was a baby. My dad had nothing to his name when we first moved here. And so I watched him and my mom work 2 to 3 jobs at a time. I watched them try and figure out how to stretch those dollars for our rent, to stretch those dollars for me and the resources that I needed.
When our next conversation continues, Melat Kiros says the Hamas massacre of Israeli civilians was the quote-unquote inevitable consequence of Israel's actions. I asked her if she feels the same way about the killing of Americans on 9/11 and American foreign policy.